Stanley, Scuba, Sailing, and Adventures. Welcome back to the Stanley Scuba Sailing and Adventures World Headquarters. Today we've got a delivery from SVBONY, and it's the SVGo2 action camera. So inside the shipping carton, it looks like we have two items: the action camera itself and this floating hand grip.
First, let's see what's in the camera box. This is my first action camera review, and I hope you leave me some feedback and let me know how I did. Right on top, looks like we have the SVGo2 user manual, which I will probably read later. We have the action camera, looks like some protective film, and the action camera arrived inside the dive housing, which is included. And it looks like a standard action camera mount that will be compatible with other action camera mounts. A simple flip-up hinge. And the action camera itself is actually quite compact. Looks like some protective film on the action camera itself, a mounting screw on the bottom of the action camera, and it appears we have 3 buttons to work with the power and OK button on top. On the side we have the USB-C charging port and memory card slot, and a battery compartment. Very compact. That closes nice and tight. And let's see what else is in the box. Looks like this box is packed. Oh my gosh. All kinds of accessories included. Here we have some Velcro straps, I'm assuming for securing the action camera. I'll dig into those later. Here we have a lavalier microphone. Nice. With a little clip on it to secure it. Looks like that plugs right into the camera. Everything is packaged very neatly. Looks like here we have the charging cable, USB to USB-C. I'm not going to unwrap that completely right now. Here we have some zip ties, a little metal cable, a lens cleaner cloth, I'm not sure what that little metal cable is for. Some type of retainer, I assume. And these look like adhesive pads with a little hole punched out in the center. Interesting. I'm sure it has a purpose. To be determined. Here's an additional mount for the action camera. Looks like you could mount that on a tube of some sort, maybe on a bicycle handle. That's really nice that it comes with these additional mounts. Again, the size of those mounts look compatible with most other action cameras. Wow, another box. This is jam-packed. Here we have a mounting clip of some sort. Another mounting bracket. Oh, I see the hole there. That probably lines up with the adhesive pad, and it comes with one. There are probably additional ones. And then the mount that was on the camera to begin with would slide and snap into that. Another mount. Oh. Okay, so I guess if we want to make that a little taller or have a different articulation angle. And yet another mount. This is incredible. Oh, so you can change the angle here. I think I may have purchased one of those in the past for my other action camera. I'm amazed at the amount of accessories that are included with this action camera, and there's still more. I feel like this is turning into an infomercial, but wait, there's more. And these are standard size and should thread onto my action camera stick or my tripod. But wait, there's more. Another mount. Okay, so that's similar to the one that was already attached to the dive housing, and as I mentioned, similar to other action cameras. It slides in here, and then you have that adhesive pad on the bottom, I guess in case it wears out and you want to reuse it. And then there's a little pinch clip on the other side to slide it out. Again, standard action camera type of mount here. But wait, there's more. Another adapter for mounting. Yeah, so far I think just the all of the mounts that are included for this price point, you could easily have spent this much just on all of these mounts with no camera. I believe this is called a rabbit cage. It's got a threaded hole on both sides of the rabbit cage, and there are two slots on the side. I believe that clip I found earlier right here slides inside the rabbit cage. We'll look at that in a minute. And a remote control button. Nice. Looks like the battery's probably sealed in there. This is the charger for two batteries, USB-C. I'm assuming that charging cable you could plug into the camera or the charging port. And this is an alternate back for the dive housing in case you don't want to use it as a dive housing and you'd like to have some protection for the camera but also allow some airflow. So you simply remove that, you open that hinge up far enough and it'll pop out. pop the other one in. I'm assuming this is the wrist strap for the remote control. Interesting. Here's a battery. Fits snugly into the charger. A second battery is included. Nice long pull tab on the battery, so you can easily get it out of the camera. And I think we're getting to the bottom of the box. And here we have another adapter. This one has a threaded screw hole in it. And an adhesive on the back. Same as the other, but one has the threaded hole and one does not. I'm curious to see how the camera fits in that rabbit cage. Let's pop it open. And try our action camera in the rabbit cage. It fits snugly. And here's that clip for the back of the rabbit cage. And threaded screw on top of the rabbit cage. I'm not going to go through all of the menus on the camera, but let's take a quick look at the menu navigation. We'll put a memory card in the camera, put a battery in, power it up, and take a look at the menu navigation. Again, this camera has 3 buttons and a touch screen. So the power button on top turns it on, and then we can give it a quick press and it'll start recording because it was left in video mode. I'm assuming whatever mode it was in, it'll return to. And that was another quick press to stop recording. And then we have the 2 buttons on the side. The top button on the side will take us into the mode selection. After we're in the mode selection, the 2 buttons on the side can be used to navigate forward and backward through that mode menu. And then the button on top becomes the OK button. The bottom button on the side will take us into this camera and device settings menu. Again, the button on top functions as OK, and once we're in the menu, the buttons on the side serve for up and down to navigate through the menu. And then, of course, the OK button to select that menu item. I hope I explained that clearly. If not, you'll figure it out. Pretty easy navigation. The camera also has a touch screen. My fingers are a little too big to use that screen easily. Now we'll take an inventory of the floating handle. Really quality packaging on these products. The little pull tab on the box. And it looks like there's some instructions. This must be the floating handle or selfie stick. Looks like it has a twist to unlock and twist to lock. Okay, so cool. The floating handle is actually a tripod as well. And it looks like the floating handle telescopes into a selfie stick. Floating handle selfie stick tripod. That is going to be quite handy. Again, twist to unlock and twist to lock. Nice. And I think, oh, there we go. There's a third point of extension there. So yeah, a very nice selfie stick, floating handle, and tripod. That is terribly exciting. I can see myself getting a lot of use out of that. I really like the built-in tripod function. Oh, and a threaded screw on the bottom. There are just so many options, so many different configurations you can do with everything that's included here. Let's see what's in this little box. I kind of forgot about that. I got so excited about the tripod function. Looks like a wrist lanyard and thumb screw for the action camera mount. Nice braided wrist lanyard. It almost seems like a paracord type material. And then a thumb screw for the floating handle. Excellent. I'm very excited about this. Let's get this thing in the field and see how it does. Here we are. I have the camera in the dive housing, just as a matter of convenience and some protection. You can see an alligator there across the water. Hopefully you can make that out. But you get the idea here of the camera's performance, just some outdoor settings. It's a fairly sunny day. We have a lot of green and some browns. And I have the camera set on 4K 30 frames per second, which is the highest resolution and frame rate. And I will leave it at that setting for all of these different tests. Here we are in Crystal River, Florida, and we see some folks snorkeling with the manatees. This water is really clear, so I will wade out into the water and we'll put the camera in the water in this shallow clear water and see how the camera does in the dive housing and see what our underwater footage looks like in this scenario. See, we've got a lot of sunlight. You can see the light reflecting off the water. Again, this is 4K 30 frames per second. The white balance and all the other settings are set to auto. My channel focuses on sailing and adventures, but I do a lot of scuba diving. So my primary use for this camera will be underwater. And here's our first look at the camera's performance underwater. This is with no additional lighting. This is with the camera on the floating handle. Someone pointed out to me that if you open the tripod and you put it in the water with the tripod on the top, it actually will stabilize the camera and you can just let it float. So in this shot, the camera's just floating with the legs of the tripod open for stability. Obviously, this is above the water. Again, the camera's in the dive housing already. 4K, 30 frames per second. And I'm getting ready to take it on a night dive. So you can see the sun is very low in the sky, and I'll actually enter the water at dusk, and by the time the dive ends, it will be completely dark. So here we are swimming out. Again, this is just at dusk, so there is some ambient light. There are no video lights in use at this time. This is just the camera underwater at dusk, 4K, 30 frames per second. Same thing here. You can tell it's really starting to get darker. And in a second, I'm going to turn on my video lights. I wanted to get an idea of how the camera would perform with and without video lights. It's completely dark out now. The sun has set, and I have 2 video lights going. The visibility is not spectacular. It's probably maybe 10 feet, approximately. Here's a close-up, trying to get an idea of the range of focus for the camera. I feel it did pretty good there. Again, looking at a variety of things with longer focus, mid-focus, and a close-up to try to get an idea of how the camera performs. I'm curious what you think. This is a cavern dive, and it's a very cold, not that that matters, but overcast and rainy day. So there is almost no ambient light during this cavern dive. I do have the video lights on, and there's a lot of silt kicked up. So the visibility in this cavern dive is not the greatest. I would speculate 15 to 20 feet, maybe more. On a sunny day, it's probably much, much further. Again, 4K, 30 frames per second. This is the diving bell. There's air pumped in, so the camera's underwater there, and we'll bring the camera up inside the diving bell in the air. Final thoughts? I'm amazed at all of the accessories, the quality, the floating handle, selfie stick, and the camera's performance. Take a look at the video. Let me know what you think. I'm anxious to try the other settings. This is a really long video already, so I didn't get into all of the operations, but I'll be continuing to use the camera and sharing the results with you.